In the old stories, each animal had the opportunity to sit down with the Creator and say, this is what I have. This is my power. This is what I can give. Eagle was one of those that said, I'm the biggest. I'm the strongest. I can fly the highest. My strength is what I can provide to help these people. For that, I can give a part of myself. And in honor of that, here's something the people can use. And a feather was laid down.
The eagle is something that's to be revered and respected, and it's kind of just assumed in all these stories that that's who Eagle is and who Eagle was. And those stories are thousands of years old, so clearly for thousands of years the Coeur d'Alene people have thought that about eagles from their perspective since time immemorial, since the time of Coyote and the rest of the animals that traveled the earth.
We have the Migratory Bird Act. We have the Bald Eagle Protection Act, and those really prohibited a lot of our use of eagles in whole or in part, any kind of pieces, anything. And with the Native American Religious Freedom Act, it kind of cleared up a path for us to be able to continue our cultural practices without so much interference.
The United States government recognized the significance of the eagle to Indian people. They were a protected bird by the United States. They allowed special privileges to the Indian nations to own eagle feathers. And we had to go to a repository.
And that's supposed to take care of 570 some tribes. And it's a very slow process. And I've been through the permitting process twice, and it's taken over 4 years each time that I went.
We wanted to set up our own program and become our own repository. So any birds or any parts that were available to the tribe would be available to Coeur d'Alene tribal members first.
So back in 2016, we were awarded the federal Native American Eagle Aviary permit, which the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service offers to tribes. It allows them to keep and house eagles for cultural purposes. We can retain the feathers that they molt each year and hand those out to tribal members for them to use for religious ceremonies or in their regalia.
I've been really proud of the work of the Coeur d'Alene tribe on their tribal eagle aviary. It's the first in the Northwest in our region, and it really blazed a path, I believe, for other tribes to follow.
To be able to give tribal members access directly to eagle feathers is obviously an immense benefit to having this aviary here.
I think it means a lot to the people that they don't have to go through the federal government anymore. They can just get their feathers right here through the tribe.
I remember when I first discovered these federal permits were now available to tribal entities. And I, here as a raptor biologist and directing founder of Birds of Prey Northwest, live right here in the middle of the Coeur d'Alene Indian Reservation.
We were first approached by Janie about 15 years ago when she moved into the area. She looked us up, saw that there was a local tribe and was interested in cooperating on some projects.
Pretty soon we started bringing eagles that we found to her, as I recall, and bringing food to feed the eagles.
So it's probably a couple years of Janie kind of motivating us to house our own birds. We were kind of afraid to take the initial step just because we knew once we did, it's a long commitment.
So we decided that we'd at least start with a temporary site at her property there.
In the meantime, we started kind of researching where we would put a site on tribal property somewhere close by.
The opportunity came for the Coeur d'Alene tribe to invest in and to build an eagle repository and to take care of these special birds, these spiritual birds. The tribal council, the staff, everyone jumped at the chance, pitched in, and built that building that houses eagles today.
We found a site at a mitigation property down by Sanders that already had an existing building that was in rough shape, but it could be refurbished. We thought we could use that for the meat processing room and potentially the classroom. It also had a nice cement slab there that we thought we could maybe incorporate into the aviary itself.
I like the site. I think it's secluded enough, but also accessible enough for tribal membership as well as kids to come visit and view the eagles.
It's come full circle for me. Where I was born and raised is where this aviary now sits. The lands that I walked as a child, the creek that I fished and swam in as a child, is right next to it. A facility that preserves and protects the animals that were here before people were.
We're in our traditional homeland here, and the birds are in their traditional homeland, and they seem to be very relaxed here, and they really like the environment, I believe. So this is a great place for the aviary.
Nate was really the architect, was behind the design there, and then our crew of technicians. We had a wide variety of experience with some of the guys good on construction that were able to keep almost all of it in-house. We spent probably most of a good year building the structure with refurbishing the old building there. We started that in the winter, had some really cold, wet days while we were working on that. And then by the time spring came around, we were able to start work on the bird enclosure itself and finished up in the fall of that year.
Well, I remember the hardest part of the construction was probably setting the posts, as I recall, because the posts on the high end were 18-foot 6x6s, and we don't have any sort of equipment to stand those up in the holes. So we just had to do that with just a bunch of guys pushing the posts up, and that got a little scary sometimes. We got it all done and no one got hurt, but it was definitely quite a process. And of course, all the work up on the roof is not for everyone. Luckily, we had a couple guys that were willing to crawl around up there, spend the whole day on the roof. We wanted this to be a structure that everyone could be proud of as well, and people would enjoy coming to and kind of seeing the eagles in a little bit more of a natural environment. There was going to be some posts in the interior of the aviary anyway, just 6x6 posts. So we decided we could make those look like trees. So we had some existing snags already that have been cut. So we just hollowed those out and put them over the 6x6s to make it look like snags. We put a pond in with the bald eagles, and then some more rock structures in with the golden eagles because they're native to more canyon type country. So we had a waterfall going from the golden eagle side into the bald eagle side, and that provided some nice sound too with the waterfalls.
Oh yeah, all the heavy lifting was left up to me for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, all these big old trees and rocks and everything like that. I moved all those in here. So
once we got all the posts up, and especially once we got the walls with the slats up and everything, everyone all of a sudden realized that, hey, this is actually a pretty cool building, and this is more than just a cage for the eagles. This is actually kind of a facility that I think people will be proud to come to.
And so I think what ended up happening is you just had this cascading effect of yeah, that's cool, it's a good idea. And as it got more and more meat on the bones and you got to be able to actually be in the presence of those eagles, it just really came together.
And the building itself, I think it came out really well. I mean, better than I would have ever thought.
Initially, you kind of feel bad for them because they are birds that are injured. And you feel like they don't belong in a cage, but it does prolong their life, and we do benefit from the birds.
Well, I think it's beautiful, definitely, that we have the Eagle program. And it's kind of great to see that the eagle feather is, coming back into our tribe.
When you understand that the eagles are not going to fly again, they're not going to be able to be returned to the wild, I think that becomes the natural thing for the tribes, in this case the Coeur d'Alene tribe, to be the caretaker.
So the two different species need different foods. Bald eagles, we actually get a lot of our fish from the lake program that we have going on with fisheries. We're gill netting for northern pike. For the golden eagles, they are more of an inland bird that does a lot more hunting, so we have to feed that red meat only. And we get a lot of that from roadkill that's going on. Wildlife program picks that up, or other animals that have been donated to us.
We need several hundred pounds of red meat and fish every year for the eagles we have right now. Yeah, they'll go through, as far as the red meat, a deer lasts about a week. An elk can last close to a month, and a moose maybe a little more than a month. So if you were just feeding elk roadkill, you'd still need to find 12 elk every year, and that's pretty daunting. Well, maybe our most impressive eagle for most people that visit is Muckeen. That's our adult female bald eagle, and her name means snow on the mountain, I guess referring to her white head.
I was contacted by a friend close to my home. They found her out in a field when they were farming, so they called me. It was found that she had a pellet in her wing and won't ever be able to fly fully again. Our oldest golden eagle, he's a male named Jesus, which means eagle eyes. He was another bird that was transferred to us from Birds of Prey Northwest.
And he was called Grandpa at Birds of Prey Northwest because he is quite old. I think they estimated him at being over 20 years old. But he's a very calm bird.
Another person transferred the bird to me where it was found paralyzed. And I gave it physical therapy, steroids, and lots of hope, and many months later the bird was able to walk.
So our youngest male golden eagle is named Quamp Quamp, which means beautiful.
He's a little wild and unpredictable. When you go in the cage to feed or pick up feathers, he definitely flies around your head, and we've had some near misses with him making contact.
Yeah, when I got to the rehabber, he was telling me about this young golden eagle, and he said it's like feeding a dragon, because he said you throw food in there and it's just on it quickly, and it's very aggressive.
In order to restrain an eagle, you need lots of courage, the proper experience, and good safety equipment.
I'd never really worked with birds much before this, so I wasn't exactly eager to be the one to go in and catch the eagles, because I've seen Birds of Prey Northwest staff do it, and they make it look relatively easy, but I've handled enough wildlife to know that it is not easy.
It's pretty intense. Yeah, heart's pounding. So you just gotta keep your eyes open and duck. Duck if needed.
So we partnered with Janie because she was the one with all the expertise. None of us in the wildlife program really had much experience with birds, especially caring for captive birds.
Well, as the eagle expert for the Coeur d'Alene tribe, I'm responsible for the well-being of their eagles, for their health, their weight, their talons, and their beaks. These things tend to overgrow in captivity, and twice a year we must grab up the eagles and give them pedicures and trim their beaks, which tend to overgrow in captivity naturally.
I have always been interested in birds since I was a child. I love them, fascinated with them. So once I heard about this, I was just on top of it. Now I get to do it full time and hopefully help expand this and be here from the start of it, which is great.
The body parts of the eagle often were used in different ceremonies and in different ways to kind of emulate the eagles and their importance. Certainly elevated to a level that's beyond just what other animals are and have been.
An eagle is revered. It's revered throughout Indian country. Indeed, if you go to any powwow, any gathering of Indian nations, you'll see an eagle staff. It's almost like our national standard now. In Indian country, I'd say that the eagle staff is the flag for the nations.
We try to use all the pieces that we can, every single part of the bird that we can, all the way from the claws to, the bones.
To identify the individual, to identify his prowess, to identify his deeds, they would honor him by giving him a feather. It was an honor because this is one that flew as high and as close to the Creator as anyone else.
In the old days, you were, you earned your feathers, and in modern times, we still kind of do earn our feathers for different reasons, and it can be because of birth or marriage or graduations.
But people are pretty positive and excited that they have access and can come in and get a single feather. I saw a lot more feathers this year at graduation than in previous years.
It's a powerful tool for their kids, you know what I mean? Once they learn the significance of earning eagle feathers and how to maintain them, and then how you gotta conduct yourself after that,
Feathers are usually handed down in families too, because of the great care that's taken with how they're stored and used. They can last for generations.
There's a individual that said, I'm going to give you this, and this is why. And it's your responsibility to preserve and protect and take care of this. Take care of it in a way that doesn't harm the environment, doesn't harm the spirit of the animal, and doesn't harm the spirit of the people.
There's 12 feathers in the tail, and that's usually what they make a fan from.
This one here is a dance fan. This is one that I carry when I dance at the powwows.
Well, usually your headdress and your fans are made out of eagles. And then my bustle that I wear in the back is made out of eagles.
But I personally like the white feathers. I have a white fan that goes with it, and I like the white ones.
Powwow is another form of prayer when we gather. It's an intertribal thing. It's not just confined to one tribe, but we're all gathered for a very good purpose, and to be able to join together in song and dance and prayer. And that's what powwow is for us too, is prayer. And these feathers help us in that.
We only bring them out on special occasions, and for a ceremony like today's a special ceremony for our water to help bless our water, protect our water.
If you are doing an event and you see an eagle show up, it's always meant to be a real positive sign, kind of a sign of blessing from up above that what we're doing, what we're engaged in is going to be blessed by the Creator. So
it's going to give our tribal members a chance to work with those birds and to be able to care for them, and then our summer youth and our school groups will get to come out occasionally.
We're able to bring our children, to bring our elders to visit it, and they're overwhelmed. They know the significance of the eagle. They know the spirituality of the eagle. They know the majesty of the eagle, and it's our national standard. And we're just fortunate to have that facility as we have it today.
Obviously, I think there's an opportunity to connect our people to much closer to those animals.
Favorite part now is really just being up in there when you're not working and just kind of hanging out with them. It's quiet out, and it's really kind of a spiritual moment, being with them and that close to them.
Take a little bit of time, go down and see the birds. Go down and sit and talk with them. They have a voice, they have a message, and they can share just like they did in those old times.